So, welcome to the presentation. So you have Google Grants. If you haven't, well, you should apply tonight. It's free money. So who am I? So I started as an engineer, and I made a bunch of websites, and nobody came to my website. So I was like, what's going on? So I started doing marketing, right? And so the term that happens to come about is called growth hackers. There's somebody who does marketing and engineering kind of together. So I guess that's what I am. So, you know, I did a lot of from like paid advertising, like PPC. I'm sure you guys heard of that's AdWords, right? And then you've heard the term SEO, inbound marketing, basically getting free traffic, things like that. And of course, if you do traffic, by default, you become an analytics person. By default. If you don't like analytics, you should not be doing this stuff. Okay? Of course, there's a lot of testing analysis. You know about testing, right? It's all about testing. Like it's all I do. I feel like, I'm like a advertising monkey. You know, like turn on knobs and test different things. But you know, it's effective. So with all that skill, I started a company, Solar One Media. We basically generated solar leads for solar installers, you know, mostly California, New Jersey, Delaware, Texas, those kind of states. And so I learned a lot about PR. And one of the things I did for PR was actually, this is a picture of my dog, me and my dog. I lived in California for 12 years without a family, right? My family's here, so I moved back. And one time I lost him. I don't know if you have dogs. I don't know if you ever lost dogs. It's like losing a child, basically, right? And he's my only family member. And I lost him, and so I did all kinds of crazy advertising. I put ads on like Craigslist, Facebook, Google, did flyers, mailers, like called everybody, just dropped by, knocked on doors. And I did find him. And when I found him, it was actually a celebrity who found him. I don't know, do you guys watch hockey? Do you guys know who this is? This face right here? No. Okay, you guys watch hockey. He's like... You know who he is? No. He's like it's like Michael Jordan of hockey. His name's Joe Pavelski. He's San Jose Sharks. He's like really good. So the story is, I go to his house and I meet this guy, and then he finds me. I thank him. I like hug him, everything. And I asked him. I was like, hey, you know, you're a young guy. He was like his late 20s when I took this picture. And this huge house. I said, hey, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do for a living? And this house was like 4,000 square feet, right? Like a mansion. So it turns out he's a hockey player, right? My first initial reaction was just like you guys, like, what? What's hockey? Right? It turns out he's like a big guy, so I took a picture with him. And at the time I had a dog website, right? And I understood the power of PR and media. And when I came home, I sat down, I fed my dog, he ate like 2 bowls of food and just knocked out. I was like, how can I use this, right? I mean, this is like something that happened that I can use to my advantage. So I had a dog website. So what I did was I emailed a bunch of journalists, and they covered it. So it was covered on ESPN, CSN, a bunch of hockey websites, NBC, and that just made my traffic go crazy, and revenue for that month was just like off the charts. Wow. So that's the power of advertising plus media plus PR. And I blog. That's my domain, freshsupercool.com. It's a weird name, but so that's who I am. Okay, so Google Ad Grants 101. I don't want to get into the ABCs because I think a lot of it's kind of self-explanatory. You can read on the web. So basic stuff, 501c3 with a website. If you don't have a website, go get one, right? These people aren't eligible. School, blah, blah, blah. They actually have their own program. So there's a separate program for that. If you have advertising on your website, you cannot get this. So you have to remove your advertising and do all kinds of cleaning up to do.
Does this apply for all advertising or only AdSense?
Any kind of advertising. If they detect any kind of ads, they will just boot you out of the program. But you can't sell products as long as the proceeds go to you.
Does anything just say, for example, like a logo, if you have a sponsor or something like that, it's just a logo, there's no link to the logo?
I think that would be kept on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
But
they really pick up on that. I mean, they're not... Even if they might give it away, you'll email them, they'll probably...
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're not like Nazis or anything.
Yeah, when they mean advertising, they mean like something you're getting paid for.
Yeah. Like, for example, if a credit card company says, hey, you sign up your members and we'll give you $50 as a kickback, that's a form of advertising, right? It's an affiliate advertising, so you can't have that. You can't have that.
And why is that? What's the reason why?
It's because there are a lot, if you do that, I mean, you could probably like double or triple your $10,000 in ad spend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. And plus, people get real aggressive and they don't want that. right? So
You'd run that and you could run AdSense at the same time. You know, people take the $120,000 and sell it to their local pizza shop, saying, "Hey, we could drive $120,000 worth of."
yeah, but like, the metrics won't work out. If you buy search ads with this AdSense ads, you won't make any money. Those days are gone. That was like 2002,
Okay.
something like that. Okay, and there's a limit of $10,000 per month, which, by the way, is not $330 a month. I mean, $330 a day. You could spend the whole $10,000 in one day if you wanted to, but it caps out at $10,000. So I'm gonna tell you a little story, okay, of another dog, because I love dogs. The only real interaction I've had with nonprofits with dog rescue organizations. So I'm gonna just play, and you can watch it. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but so the story is I was kind of just chatting on the GChat, and my friend emails me a story of his dog. Now it's a see, advertising. So it's a super sad story. It's he's neglected. He lives in his own pee. His hips are broken. He's abandoned. I don't know if you know about dogs outside of the U.S. I don't know if you guys know about dogs in general, but dogs outside of the U.S. are treated like possums and raccoons and things like that, right? You lower the volume.
Lower the volume.
So I'll just go.
It seems like it's internal volume from the screen. My laptop is not even.
So what I did was, it was super sad. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to donate money, do something. And turns out it's a dog rescue organization out of Singapore. They're rescuing dogs all over Southeast Asia. And I asked them, I said, what's the average cost of rescuing a dog? They said, because in Singapore, it's probably the best medical care for dogs anywhere in Southeast Asia. It's around $1,600 per month. And on the average, it takes about 6 weeks for them to get adopted. So basically, they're spending $2,000 per dog. So, I mean, if you see stuff like this, I mean, it makes you cry, right? It just cry. So I go to their webpage, and I notice there's no way to donate, right? If there is a way to donate, you have to go to your bank and do ACH transfer. No one's going to do that. Because if they're sad now, they want to take action right now. So I met up some stuff, the page made it direct response friendly, and I drove traffic to it. And the response is pretty phenomenal. I'm going to skip this. You can see it later if you wanted to.
Can we set this out after too? Can I email this out to everyone?
Yeah. It's super sad, and I did a bunch of stuff. I did advertising along with PR. So what happened was quite phenomenal, actually. So the initial lift we did with the advertising, because the video had something like 100,000 views on YouTube. It was nothing, but they spent a lot of money on creating it. So I did the advertising to lift it, and I contacted a bunch of journalists and things like that. So it got a huge response. So what happened was, in the end, it had 2 million views now, actually. It's up to 2 million views. They raised $8,000 in 10 days, actually, more like 10 to 12 days. And that kind of lost track after that. We got covered on every possible, the buzzworthy type websites you could possibly think of, right? And it was good. But what happened was, in the end, PayPal decided they're not going to release the funds because they're not a valid 501c3, which is stupid. 501c3 is a U.S. term. It's not like outside of the U.S. they call it a 501c3. So they held their funds. It's just ridiculous. So now the 2 million views could attract, easily, $8,000 was from under 100,000 views. So imagine if you could extrapolate out, it could have been worth like 20, 30, 40K, who knows, right? But anyway, so there is power advertising. The initial lift was actually through advertising. I said, hey, there's a dog here, it needs some help. And then that got the virality going. So after that, a bunch of other pet organizations contacted me. One of the ones that really touched my heart was this lady, I think something like 300 contacted me or something like that, was this lady in Vermont. She was rescuing dogs out of South Carolina and Georgia, right? And the reason was that there's nobody rescuing these dogs out of, believe it or not, in the South, the way they euthanize dogs, in some counties, in some states, they actually gas them. Wow. These are gas chambers. And what they do is, sometimes they don't have enough money for enough gas. What they do is they stick like a bunch of dogs in there, and they're supposed to put in like X liters of poison gas, but they put half. So what happens, some die and some just get sick. So she'll come, drive all the way from Vermont, all the way to wherever they're at, and she'll pick up like 100 dogs, and drive all the way back, cure them, heal them, and then get them adopted. Of course, there's a lot of like change.org trying to stop it and things like that. But, the power of advertising is just so powerful. It gets people to move in so many different ways. Now, advertising, how does it have to do with nonprofits? Look at these numbers. This is a Google Keyword Planner, which basically tells you for how many, for what kind of keywords, how many people are searching for that keyword, right? So this is in millions, 1.78 million, okay, per month. On the average, 1.5 to sometimes 2.5 million searches. People asking, where can I donate stuff, right? It could be blood, money, car, clothes, food, like whatever, time.
Is this metrics for the U.S. or?
It's just U.S. This is just U.S., right? Now, imagine if you go global, right? And imagine, this is just Google. So Bing and Yahoo has 44% of market share in the United States. So if this is all around, let's say 20 million, that's around 40 million searches where people are like, hey, where can I give something, right? Give time, give money, product, service, whatever. So that is where you're going to have the best bang for your buck in Google Ad Branches. People looking to give you something, okay? And of course, people think, oh, okay, I'm going to use it for donations, right? But that's not necessarily the best bang for your buck, right? So you have to think to yourself, like, why? Why am I doing this, right? What's the ultimate end goal? Okay, let's say you get cash. Let's say you're the food distribution business, right? You get cash. What are you going to do with the cash?
Buy canned food.
Well, you got to buy it at wholesale?
Yeah, we're gonna get through the food bank at about 50 cents a meal.
Okay. But is that the most cost effective, do you think?
Donations are better than food for us.
Right, right. Because you get
Because
dollar.
we can buy it from a secondary source that is like New York Food Bank, New Jersey Food Bank, that
Right.
offers food at a much lower price.
Oh, really?
But I understand where you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people had to go out and buy retail, if we had to go buy food retail,
Right, right.
we would serve a lot less people.
For sure. So there's a trade-off, right? Anytime you're asking people to take out their wallet, their credit card and enter their number, is the hardest thing of any internet marketing activity. It's the hardest thing. So there's a trade-off between cash and how hard versus logistics and how easy, okay? So don't always think cash is always the answer, because believe it or not, you might not be able to compete with that, because there's actually, I'm going to get to it later, but you cannot bid higher than $2 per click if you're using Google Ad Branch for you have $2. So people that are bidding way higher than that are getting a return on their money, are people like Red Cross, UNICEF, that have a huge budget, right? And they will go and they don't use ad brands. They're just like advertisers, right? And they're going to get a return on their spend. And now they're just putting free marketing, right? But you guys are trying to use the free stuff, so maybe the best thing to do is look for this stuff. Are you looking for volunteers? Are you looking for stuff? Like there's a lady in San Jose I actually bought a temporary car from. She made her 90% of her revenue from selling cars. So she would get cars that would get donated, and then she'll get repaired by local mechanics who basically donate their time, and then she'll sell them. And then she does like something like 16 cars a month or something like that, 16, 20 cars a month, right?
You're saying run ads for products, saying like you run ads with keywords. Where can I donate my old laptop? Or
Yeah,
where
yeah,
can I
but-
donate my car?
Yeah, there's some restriction, I believe. I was reading it today about like cars, I think, or boats or something like that. There are some restrictions, but you can ask for stuff like the boat. Who's the one that did the boat one?
Boat,
Yeah, does it have to be a boat? It can be something else, right? It could be like people.
Most of what we use Google AdWords for now is just promoting the membership and the tourism lessons.
What's your conversion rate and what's the all that stuff? Do you know?
No, I don't have any data on that. We've been doing it for like 8 months, but it's not something that we've ever been able to put the time into actually looking at, interpreting, and understanding.
Yeah, so don't always think cash is always the answer, right? Ideally, that $10,000 should yield to you whatever the value is, like however you quantify value. It should be more than 10,000, right?
Yeah. To qualify the comment I made about cash is the best, which because we can maximum. time, stuff, and product does something different for us. It develops a relationship with the person.
Correct. Actually, that was going to get to you. When you get people off the computer and into your office, they'll most likely be receptive to giving you money in the long run. Right? So that's the trade-off. But let's say you want to, I don't know, let's say you want to get cash donations. Okay, fine. You want to go global. There's a lot of issues. Like, do they know you? You know, do they know your mission? Do they care about your mission? Right? I mean, like, and are they aware of your thing? Like, one of the things is, I give to leukemia thing, right? Because I don't know anything about leukemia, but my friend had leukemia. So I give to them, but I don't know anything about it. Without her, I wouldn't give anything, right? So there's a lot of trade-offs. So don't always think cash is always the best answer. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 strategies. I'm going to, who knows AdWords research? Anybody?
The hands are like this, so.
Okay, so you guys know like the matches, different matches, and negatives, and bidding, and all that. Okay, so I'm just gonna.
No.
I'm gonna.
That much no.
Yeah, that would be like a week's worth of stuff. So I'm just gonna skip it, and I'm gonna just tell you basic trading strategy for now. Step number 1: spend everything. Right? These aren't like cell phone credits. You know, they don't roll over. You spend everything, all right? And don't. If you can spend it all in one day, do it. Why not?
Can't go to the grave with it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna write your check for it. Right? $2 CPC. So what you want to do is some words you're never gonna win on. Like for example, donate $500 right now. For example, you're not gonna get it for $2 a click. Okay. That's going to be like upwards of like $10, $20 per click, which, unless you want to pay out of your pocket.
Apparently the term insurance is about $80 a click.
Yeah.
Just that word.
Yeah. So umbilical, I don't know if you know cord blood, you know, like cord blood. That's like $60, $80 per click too. Solar can be like 10 to 20 per click. Believe it or not, dating can be fairly high too, dating websites. So I mean, yeah.
What if you want to do that and pay by yourself?
Oh, you can do that. Then you can't use Google AdWords.
Does Google AdWords allow you to add money on top of
No,
$2?
you need to open a separate account.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to open a separate account. Yeah. So what you want to do is, let's say you're a pet charity. Sorry, I don't have a thing for pets. It's just I love dogs. Right? If you want to bid on pet charity, it's gonna be like insane because. I don't know if you know, there's 1.3 million pet charities out there that's registered, right? That's registered. There's probably another 5 million that's not registered. Yeah, and there's a huge chunk of them are local.
That's the people.
Right? Like you're local because you're not going to get food from California, obviously.
Not normally.
Not normally, but people are not going to.
When Sandy happened, we got lots of stuff from all over the place, but that wasn't abnormal.
So what you want to do is you want to be local, right? It's like Brooklyn. Like, are you in Brooklyn? You know, are you in, where are you, upstate New York?
Patterson, New Jersey.
Oh, Patterson. Yeah, Patterson, that's fairly local, right?
Donate canned food in Patterson.
Yeah, for those, yeah, you know, what happens is Google looks at the whole picture, like grand scheme of things, right? Like, they want to fill up as much of the bucket as possible. If they put one big bowl, there's space, there's like all these empty holes, right? So you can put like a small bowl in there, so you could fill it up. In a sense, they have a lot of traffic volume. The big guys are going to go for the big stuff. You guys are little guys, you guys are bidding for the small spaces. But that could be really profitable for you guys, right? Well, I don't want to say profitable. It sounds non-profit-ish.
Advantageous.
Non-kosher.
We know what you mean.
Yeah.
As consumers, we search the second term better than the first term anyway. When you want to donate to a pet charity, we're likely to search that. When I search pizza, I don't search the word pizza. I search pizza in Brooklyn, New York.
Exactly.
Pizza in zip code, whatever.
Right.
Zip codes are always very good.
Yeah, you type in pizza,
volunteer in zip code, whatever.
Right.
Now, if someone has a day off, they want to volunteer somewhere, they're not going to search where can I volunteer. They might, or they would probably search where can I volunteer in Brooklyn.
Right.
So it's, and over there you're not bidding against anyone else, pretty much.
And I don't know if, so I read a lot about like search engine use, and now the query is getting longer and longer because people are like getting used to the concept of longer query means better results. So it's,
More
before
targeted.
people used to, I think something like 60% of searches were like 1 to 2 keywords, now it's like no longer, it's like 5, 8, sometimes people like write their whole entire life. Dear Google. right? So you want to be real creative. Like you don't want to say donate to cat charity, right? You want to say something like $1 donation equals 5 cat meals, or $10 donation equals 2 kittens saved, or something like that, right? You got to be a bit more creative than just like, hey, give us your cash, right? American Red Cross people that do that for Red Cross, you see people that do it for Red Cross, they're just like, the way they write their ads is like, please.
Well, they already have branding. People know who they are. And
Exactly.
They have the wives go throw wet tissue paper on the wall and see what sticks. It's like they have millions of dollars budgeted towards these AdWords or whatever.
So a huge thing with that is if you guys do, I don't know how big your organization is. I don't know what your annual budget is or how big your staff is, but branding is very important. It will actually help with conversions a lot. Like if you are out there, hustling, bustling, doing events, offline stuff, doing newsletters, that will help with conversions a lot. Okay, bidding strategy. Target broadly, as I said. Don't try to go super niche words. So there is in AdWords, there's concept of negative keywords. So for example, if I sell red shoes, I want to bid on red shoes. But what if I get red shoes fixed, like a repair? I don't fix red shoes. So I could actually tell Google, don't bid on repair, right? So those are negative keywords. So you don't want to go too broad with the negatives for nonprofits, especially because you guys have a budget that you probably won't spend the whole thing on anyway. So try to go as broad as possible. But with that comes a caveat. You should be respectful because what you're bidding on may actually be other people's profitable keyword. So you're actually taking away from other potential advertisers and possibly Google. And you don't want to piss off Google, right? They're giving you this stuff. So be respectful. That's like my personal, mantra, karma thing.
Can you give an example of targeting broadly and using negatives but they're not going crazy?
Yeah, sure. Like for example, like how to save stray dog. I was thinking about this, right? How to save stray dog. So I saw a lot of people bidding on this, but there were actually companies that were actually teaching you how to, like they have like a book, like how to start your own nonprofit or something like that. They were selling a book for like $20. So things like that, like very simple stuff. There's a lot of people selling information products, right? Which is cool. So you go out, try to be broad as possible, but if there are certain things is not working for you, right? Like for example, food donations. Don't do just donation. Don't bid on donation, right? You're looking for specific food or cash, something like that, or labor. It's like what was your thing again? Healthcare, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be betting on his stuff, right? Because it's free doesn't mean you should go out there and try to take other people's stuff, right? Because first of all, your quality score will suffer. Quality score basically means how relevant is your stuff to wherever you're showing people. So if you try to go aggressive and then try to invade each other's territory, what happens is Google's gonna ding you, right? So what happens is your cost goes up, which means you get less traffic.
In your case, actually, in nonprofit's case, is no traffic, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing that. I was running a paid thing. If you do very broad, they have this quality score of 1 through 10, and it shows it next to every keyword. Some of my stuff, when I was playing around with this, would give me a keyword of 2. Also, that meant is that, okay, if you still want to pay us $10 a click, we will send you traffic for, frankly, any keyword you want, if you're paying enough. Like, if you're a synagogue, a Jewish thing, and you want to use keywords like church or vice versa, they'll send you traffic, but they're gonna say that nowhere on your site do you have the word church in it, or vice versa. And we'll still send you the traffic, but because it's the lower quality score, they'll go ahead and charge you, what pretty much the maximum they can.
Right, but if you get a 1, that means it's 1, you chose a really bad keyword, or your page is like shit. That's like
correct. That's where I guess SEO.
If you bid on, let's say, healthcare donations, right, and then you show food stuff, no, I'm not gonna send you traffic for that.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, Google makes money
from the users, and they're
yeah. I mean, ultimately, everybody makes money from the users, right? Because they pay the advertise, pay Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. Before, they have these, I don't know if you heard, these panda updates and penguins and hummingbirds and blah blah updates. So every time Google has an update every year. Because what happens is there's people out there trying to like spam internet, right? And what happens is when you're searching and then you go to a crappy website, you start wondering like, is Google like a messed up search engine? Okay, I'm gonna go to Bing. So Google wants you to be very relevant. Information has to be good so that people keep coming back, and so they can see the more ads, right? So same for you guys. If they give you a low quality score, that means your stuff just doesn't cut it for them. So they're just not going to give you traffic no matter how much you're willing to bid. Which, by the way, you can't even go because you're only paying $2 a click, right? Okay, and now I'm going to get to direct response strategy. I don't know if you guys know direct response. Do you guys know what the term direct response means? Okay, direct response, there's two kinds of advertising. There is like Coca-Cola advertising, it's like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And there's direct response, like infomercials, where they say, hey, you like this product? Call now, 1-800, blah, blah, blah. Infomercials, right? Those are direct response. So if you do AdWords, by default, you're a direct response advertiser. If you're doing AdWords to do brand advertising, it's a huge waste of money. Okay, so you should not do it. So by default, you are trying to get people to take action, right? That's what direct response means, like, have a response, right? So whatever you're showing them on the ad, whatever they click on and they come to your page, you want them to take action. Now there's a couple of strategies. One is relevance. Okay? Believe it or not, I saw this ad for a pet charity thing. This guy, they're trying to drive traffic to a thing, and then Hispanic veteran. They're like, what does it have to do with dogs, right? Yeah, so I'm guessing that they're not using ad grants because they were ranked pretty high too. So I was like, okay, don't show that, obviously. Tell a story. Story is very important. Believe it or not, humans have always communicated with stories since the beginning of mankind. What do you guys talk about in bars, right? Stories, right? Get together. What do you guys talk about? Stories. Or you either create stories, which occurs like 10% of the time, 90% of the time you talk about stories, right? I'm sure you've seen those cheesy ads, or they always start out with, like get rich stuff on infomercial. Oh yeah, I was broke and I didn't have any money, and then I got a spark of inspiration and I bought real estate, no money down, I'm rich now. Right? Stories, right? Stories that you can relate to. I mean, that's cheesy, but I start out with a story, right? Because I'm not gonna tell you like, okay, Google guys, Parents 101, this is how it works. You're not gonna listen to me, right? Stories. Perfect example, Coney 2012. Who knows this story?
Who doesn't know this
story? Who doesn't know this story? You don't know? Okay. Coney is this guy. He's a war. What's the word? Warlord. Not a warlord. He's like a thug, big thug. He has 30,000 kids under his command in a military. He basically kidnapped them and turns these kids into soldiers. Now the thing is, UN and all these international organizations wouldn't do anything about it because he's considered domestic and they don't want to get involved.
What country is he in?
Uganda, I think.
Uganda.
Yeah. So they're saying that he's not in our radar, so we're not going to care. So this guy, I forgot his name, some guy from San Diego, he said, let's make him famous. So he started a campaign to make this guy famous, Coney 2012. So he went viral. Because they want to show who he was, what he did. So that story went, viral beyond anybody's imagination. 99 million views, right? And I don't know how much money they generated off of this, but in 2011, before the campaign came out, they were already generating 13 million in revenue, right? Before it went viral. So this thing probably put them next to like Forbes 50 most, profitable organizations in U.S. So you have to tell a story, and the story is this guy, you can watch the whole thing. It's 30 minutes. People watch the whole 30 minutes. It's just incredible. So you have to tell a story. You joined your organization for a reason. You joined it for a reason. You guys joined you guys have a story, right? And you probably listen to some guy doing his pitch about why you should join that, right? There are stories. So what you want to do is get in front of a camera, right? Camera like this, it costs like $200, right? Get in front of a camera and tell the story. No biggie, right? Kickstarter. They always have a story. Like, hey, I had this problem, I made this thing, it was awesome, so I made it, blah, 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 I want to get it, blah, blah, can you buy now? Right? That's what it comes down to.
So do you suggest that the landing pages for these ads end up on a page with a video always? Is that what you're pretty much saying?
It doesn't always. That's where the testing part comes. Okay. Sometimes the still image of a parent with a kid, like that, that could have like a huge impact, right? I saw this. I was in Thailand last year, and I saw this picture of this lady on the floor, and this kid was like sleeping, right? And it was hot. They were sweating, and she was like crying. I saw that ad. I was like, oh my god! I gave like $30, which is a lot in Thailand. So things like that, right? I mean, you could have a video that shows like the health one. What, like for example, like you could tell like how does this affect people, right? How does it? Why I joined, and why should anybody care? Things like that. I mean, I'm sure you've seen all these like tearjerker type stuff, right? So tell a story. Now, this is kind of getting to the online marketing strategy. Is why do people donate? Do you guys know?
Oh, there's a field drive.
Make them feel good.
Crap. No, different slide. Yeah, that's right. There are two components. One is feeling good, and another one is getting a pat on the head, right? Points. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys seen Zynga, like Crush Candy? Candy Crush. Yeah, Candy Crush. Things like that, where they're like, oh my god, you're ranking like 500 out of 500 or whatever, and your friends are this and that. A lot of it is social approval, right? So if you give like $100, $1,000, whatever, they have these like levels, right? Platinum, golds, silvers, whatever. And if you really think about it, the offline version of it is like sponsored dinners, right? And that has different badges. I'm sure you guys have seen that, like different badges. So it basically say, hey, you give a lot, okay, look, pat on the head, right? You can do the same thing in direct response. Like if they give you on the thank you page, you could say, hey, can we post this on your Facebook? All right? One, it gets you viral because the people now come to your website, and two, it gives an incentive for you to give more to you later. So it's a little gamification. Now, okay, this is probably the simplest thing that you can take away from here. If you don't learn anything, do this. And this will probably double or triple your whatever you're getting. So when you go to a website and you don't know what to do, that's because you have no idea what to do. Because they don't tell you what to do. So this is also in a marketing term, it's called call to action. Right? It's like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. So snipers have this term, one bullet, one kill, right? One bullet, one kill, or something like that. One page, one goal. Every page on your website should have one goal. Okay? Sign up for a newsletter, buy something, give you money, contact you, do something, right? You're not trying to be pretty, you're not trying to inform them of like world news. You know what's funny? I had a customer with a solar company. On the front page of the website, they had a stock ticker symbol. I said, why? Like, well, you people might like it. Okay. And they had news, and they had weather. It was like Yahoo. I was like, but nobody comes to your website. Why do you have this stuff? Right? So when you're paying for traffic, expensive traffic, by the way, you get them there. No, you don't want them to check you out, like do something, right? Okay, you might have like a about us page. They want to know that you guys are legit, all that 501c3 and all that good stuff. But you want them to take action, okay? So remove all this cluttered distractions. Get rid of it. Now, there's some advanced strategies that I was going to actually go I had a couple of slides, but I didn't know how much time I had. So, thing with the Google Grants is that you don't get access to the display network. So I don't know if you guys know, Google has two businesses. One is a search, and the other one is a display. Now, display is not as good in terms of intent. It's like kind of like interrupting people, right? It's, instead of somebody saying, hey, I want to donate, you're basically knocking on the door and say, hey, do you want to donate, right? It's the same thing.
Oh, is that when you go into some other website and all of a sudden these ads appear on the
Correct.
side?
Yes.
It's like retargeting. They usually see what you've searched.
No.
Not
I mean,
even that?
retargeting is just a feature.
All right.
But
Do nonprofits have access to retargeting?
no, so that's the thing that I'm going to get at is what happens when people search and then they come to your site, the odds are maybe 1 out of 20 if you're well known to like 1 out of 100, right? They're actually going to do anything. So there's this thing called retargeting. Basically, they use this cookie thing on your computer. Basically, they follow you around the web. I'm sure you've seen it, right? You go to Amazon and you search for something. You don't buy it, then you go somewhere else, and Facebook, you're like, hey, were you looking for shoes? Right? this is actually really powerful because the way brain works is that if I want to get a message across from you to you, I have to repeat it 6 times, right? This is why churches and militaries are always making you chant, right? It's not because something you're stupid, right? It's because they're trying to like beat this into your head, right? I'm serious. This is why they do it. So retargeting works the exact same way. It's like, hey, you're looking at this. Hey, interested? Now, they don't do it forever. They know at some point you lose interest. So there is this thing called frequency capping. They will actually say, and a duration window too. You can't say more than like I think 60 days max. But if you don't get them in 7 to 10 days, they're lost anyway.
Can you pay for Google for retargeting?
No, you cannot do that. Oh,
They
actually.
pay separately. Because
Oh, actually, that's a
high
hack.
value.
Yeah, that's a good hack. Maybe, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good hack. Yeah. So you can open a separate account and then do that. Maybe you can. Yeah.
But you'd have to retarget.
Oh no,
first
you
account.
can't.
You wouldn't
Hold
be
on,
able to.
hold on. Yes, you can actually.
You could?
Yeah, you could.
So you'd
But I
have
don't
to
know.
link the accounts and use the retargeting.
Well, hold on. Let me finish this.
Alright.
So you don't get access to the display, but display clicks are cheap. Like you can get as low as like pennies. In some countries, sub penny. like emerging countries, like sub penny, literally. But they're not gonna buy anything, so what's the point? Right? So you don't get access to that. Unfortunately, retargeting is part of the display network, and so you don't get it. So what do? Is you can ask them like, hey, you're not ready to donate? How about you give me an email, and then we'll just follow up with you. Email, free retargeting. Problem with retargeting with free email is one, you have to write the emails, right? And you have to be a good copywriter to get them to open and to read and come to your website and take action. And let's say, I'm sure you got emails from like companies, right? You don't open every one of them, right? So let's say you send out 100 emails. The odds are, statistically speaking, anywhere between 15 to 25% of your people are going to read it. Okay, so it's not as good. With this, they're guaranteed to see it because they're like following you around the web, right? So that's one advanced strategy. I could talk about a couple other things, but and also autoresponder. If you have their emails, so believe it or not, a lot of the emails that you receive that are actually very personal, they're not really personal. They're mail merge, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys know it's like I do it too. Come on. Okay. I can't care about everybody on my list. You know how many people on my list? I can't possibly care about everyone.
Hey, we told me recently you have like 5 million emails or something.
No. I mean, my dog website has like 30,000.
Wow.
Oh, believe it or not, actually, this is really awesome because people don't know that it's a mail merge. Like, I mean, we're living in New York. You guys are pretty happy and hip in tech. The middle of America. No, not even middle of America. 99.9% of the world think you're actually writing to them on an individual level. I had a lady, I wrote this letter about this dog rescue out of like Spain or something like that, and this lady wrote back, and she responded back in like a 3 like huge page. I was like scroll down, and she responded. I'm like, oh, you're so awesome, blah blah blah. This one lady told me that morning she was going to commit suicide.
Wow.
She said she took a bunch of pills, but didn't work, so she had like a gun ready, and she had 3 dogs. So I sent her a story about this dog, and I was like, this dog inspired this lady to be more than she could be. And she said she was so inspired that she did it, right? I have this email too, which is amazing, right? She's an American Indian lady from New Mexico, overweight, divorced, no kids, 3 dogs, 2 chihuahuas, and I forgot. I mean, it's amazing. Emails work. It's phenomenal.
How do you grow a mailing list that long though, with that much?
Oh, it's like a whole new separate topic, but you have to
We
get
do
into
another
it.
event for that.
Yeah,
If I could-
you have to opt in.
Yeah.
You have to opt in. Like, you can't just like, oh, I saw your email on some forum where I decided to spam you.
Yeah,
You can't do
from the experience, I mean, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong about this, but the less graphics you put in an email, the higher open rate you get. So any email that has a button that says display images, we don't open, we ignore.
No. She's talking about how do you get the email.
Yeah.
Oh, no. People must opt in, because if you have a higher than a 0.1% spam report, like, if you send out 1,000, for each 1,000 emails you send out, Google will only allow you to have one person say that you're spam. If you exceed like more than a 0.5%, all your emails that you ever send out will go into people's spam folders, which pretty much means you will be shouting at a brick wall. No one will ever open your emails. It's not a worthwhile.
Yeah, it's email marketing. It's email marketing. Believe it or not. So probably the most profitable channel in internet marketing right now is search. It's search PPC, followed by, you've heard of SEO. Believe it or not, the third is actually email. Email, I don't know why.
It still works.
It works. I have no idea why it still works. I mean, I thought social would kill it, but no.
I thought it was dead after Gmail set up those 3 tabs and just like.
No, actually, there's a bunch of studies like that have
Didn't do anything.
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me. So
Okay.
yeah. So
I use Unroll Me, so I pretty much literally do not see any newsletter. You're familiar with the with Unroll Me.
Yeah. Let's.
They say whatever. This.
Yeah, it's email is like an art by itself. I mean, there are companies out there that all they do is email and they make like tens of millions of revenue. I don't know if you guys heard of Evan Pagan, Double Your Dating. Like how
What's it called?
Double Your Dating.
Double Your Dating.
No.
Wait, is that the name of the company? What's the name?
Yeah, it's the name of it at his website. But the reason why I bring him up is because he only uses paid traffic and email. He doesn't do like social media. He doesn't do the retargeting stuff. He doesn't do any of that stuff. Only 2 channels, and this guy makes one-man shop makes $10 million a year. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow.
So that's one strategy, and I will end it here with a Q&A. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead.
What about YouTube? The ad you just saw on your
Yes.
YouTube, is that also the part of the grant, or they also have
That's a good question.
YouTube
I'm not sure.
videos? Also, how does that work? Is that part of this grant?
I'm not sure. I'm not too certain. I'll have to look into that.
99% sure it's no.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's no. Yeah.
The reason why I did this follow-up thing is because they do it maybe once every year. You could go in Google's building. They'll do a full-day event explaining Google grants, and they go through like literally the first hour. If you're tech savvy, the first 2 hours you'll be snoring because it's very like basically teach people what internet is, what Google is. But if I remember correctly, they said that it does not apply for ads on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
You can't
So the answer is
advertise
no.
yeah. Oh, but what they did say, which is interesting, is if you run a crowdfunding campaign, you're allowed to have your traffic go to your website and have an auto redirect to the crowdfunding site.
I don't recommend do that. Build a list. If you're gonna do crowdfunding, use the traffic to build a list, and when they opt in, redirect them to your crowdfunding, and then do an autoresponder back to the campaign. So, sorry, if that was too much, basically it's saying, hey, if you're just gonna pay for it once, why? Like, you're gonna give all the traffic and money to Kickstarter? Why? That's stupid, right? Might as well get their ability to contact them too. So build a list, meaning, because with the list you can contact them again, right? Now, but then you have to give some kind of proposition, like, why I'm gonna opt into you? Like, everybody asking for emails these days, right? Like, hey, give me your email, give me. Right? So you got to give them a proposition, right? Like who are you? What do you do? Videos are really effective. The thing about videos is that people think like, oh, I have to do videos, I have to do all these things. All these things you could just do once, and it's kind of like a residual revenue generator for you guys. So why not do it?
And you said earlier that don't use it for branding.
Don't use that for branding.
Why?
It's a huge waste of money. Because remember, if it's $10,000, it's still $10,000. You're not going to get $100,000, right? Like branding, what's the purpose? Like how do you? So if you wanted to do branding, what I would do is do the same thing: build a list and then do branding through email. Yeah. But if you want people to take action, like I think probably the number one thing that I've heard from pet rescues was they needed help more than money. Like number one thing I've heard through them was like, we need help.
But what?
Doing events, doing social media stuff, doing something, Because either you pay for it or you get free help, right? Which is same thing, really. You're gonna pay money, get money to pay, or you get the free help, which is same thing. So, like I've seen people use this to get volunteers and been very effective. Like the keyword might be like, where can I volunteer in Patterson, New Jersey, right? But of course, just because they type that in doesn't mean they're gonna join your thing. They might think like, well, I'm not into health, food, and I want to do like, I don't know, homeless stuff, right? So, And you get creative. Like the only thing that's limiting you is the budget. But if you can think of a keyword, you can potentially target that.
So what you're saying is we need to focus on a specific program that we do.
Yes, you need to have a specific program. Do not.
Because we have 5 different programs that we do that
Okay.
relate to hunger. There's an after-school program, there's, feeding
Yeah.
programs.
So you run separate
We need to
ads.
zero in on one specific program per set of Google ads that we run.
Yes. So you don't want it, like never put ads to the front page. That's like the worst thing you can do. Do not do that. Say like you have like after school program, you have feed the homeless, you have, what's the other thing?
Food Depot.
Whatever, right? All those should all be separate and they all should have one purpose. Get them to do something related to that thing.
Okay.
Don't just say, hey, we do this and you should give us money. No, that won't work.
Yes, that's one of the things you find is confusion that happens when you do more than one program, is that people get to your main site and they
Yes.
don't know where to go.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it's a huge tip, is if you know a YouTube celebrity, or somebody who's a YouTube celebrity, wannabe, somebody who has some kind of number of subscribers,